Good afternoon or morning, depending where you are. Y'all, thanks for joining us for another episode of Recruiting EQ, episode 38. Somehow, I know I'm incredulous about this every week, but somehow already episode 38, which I ended up calling, Dominic, I hope you're down with this, Future is Now.
Yep.
Gamechangers in Recruitment 2024. Joining me is Dominic Mayani. Dom, thanks for swooping in because I had a cancellation. So thank you for last minute saving my butt.
No worries. Thanks for having me. And sorry, I apologize. I'm a little sick here, but we'll get through it.
We'll get through it. I think that I am just getting over being crazy sick, and chances are so is everybody watching this now or later.
Yeah. Oh,
Tis
yeah.
the season.
Yeah.
So before we launch in, just a quick disclaimer as per usual. This is an event hosted on LinkedIn, but it goes out, streams out to Facebook and YouTube as well. So we are not on LinkedIn right now, but if you would like to comment anything, if you have any questions, anecdotes, they are very welcome. Got a lot of great participation in the past few episodes, especially. We will see your comments here. If they are over a certain length, depending where you're commenting from, they might get cut short. So I apologize in advance. But in the interest of privacy, we're not going to name you because it doesn't always come up with your name anyway, just because we don't want to get anybody in trouble if you're supposed to be working now or God knows what. So that's my disclaimer. Please comment. Let's get on into it. Dominic, thank you for being here again. And if you can do me a favor and actually just introduce yourself and a little bit about what you do to the
Yeah.
there.
Thanks for having me, Rick. I'm Dominic Mayani, president of Lazio Search Group. We do supply chain logistics recruiting, SaaS, supply chain tech, specifically sales and professional services roles. But that's our bread and butter. But we have done many other roles, as you know, in recruiting. So, but that's our niche. I love that space. Love the people in it, and that's where I play all day.
Do you find, just to talk about that a bit, do you find the supply chain recruiting game has changed since COVID, since we've had a lot of logistics companies related to things like Amazon and do you feel like that's, my impression is it's changed a lot, but I don't really work in that space much. So I'm curious.
Yeah, I mean, it's like everyone else, right? Everybody got the taste of working from home. They were productive, but some aren't, right? So they have to go back to the office, and that's causing battles. Some companies are losing talent because of it, but it's what we're all going to be dealing with. And not only that, with AI coming up, we'll see. I know we're going to be talking about that in the show today, but
Yeah,
that's coming faster than a lot of people think. And that's why I always put the warning out, like, be ready and learn as much as you can fast.
for sure. And I mean, in the space of like logistics and supply chain too, there's so many ups and downs. Obviously, COVID with importing, exporting changed the game. Depending on which politicians are in power, I mean, Trump is very America first, right? So
Right.
lots of less foreign manufacturing. I think he's a big fan of keeping things in the States. That might change stuff. So there's a lot of moving parts in that space, almost month to month, it seems. No, like where the game.
Oh yeah, it's a logistics game. I mean, here's
Yeah.
the thing though. Even before the election, most companies had a game plan. If it went this way, they were prepared. If it went this way, they had a game plan, right? So
Right.
either
Yep.
way, they were ready to go. And I think companies, prepped a long time ago just in case.
Yeah,
So
for sure. And like we've said too on other episodes of this so far is, the love or hate the result, a definitive result at least means we're there, we know what we're doing. So it should in theory help with the job market moving a little quicker, we're hoping.
well, yeah, I think it will. Not only that, now everyone knows how to navigate through the next 4 years. I think that's what they were all wondering. Hey, how are we going to
Yeah.
navigate? Even companies like us, right? How are we going to navigate for the next 4 years? So that now that we know definitively who's going in office, now we're prepared, we're ready to go. And for me, there was no difference in who's sitting in that seat. It's here's the game plan, go. So we
Yeah,
were ready
100%.
either way.
100%. Also, shout out to your background there. You got Stevie Y behind you. You're in Michigan, clearly. You have a Red Wings paraphernalia behind you, which is awesome.
Yeah, that was my idol growing up. I mean, I played college hockey at Ohio State in a couple of years semi-pro, and that guy was my favorite player growing up. I used to watch him, idolize him. He was the best. Just a quiet leader, led by example. and just got it done.
Yeah,
You know?
100%, 100%. Also love the Godfather behind. I know I said that last time, but that's good stuff.
I won that.
The
Won that
name,
one at a golf outing.
you won that at a golf outing?
Yeah, at a golf outing.
Slick. The name Lazio Search, is that just a reference to the Italian province of Lazio, or is it?
Yes, but how I got to that was 2 months of beating my head against the wall, trying to I'm up with a name, and everything was taken, and GoDaddy and whatever, right? So, my grandpa, when he came here from Italy, great grandpa, he had a suit shop downtown Utica, Michigan here, and he had a
Oh yeah.
Lazio soccer jersey. And I'm like, let me go back to that, and I'll say Lazio Search Group. If somebody has that, I'm just going to call it ABCDE, and unfortunately it was available, so I took it, and that's it.
Awesome. It's funny how these things work. Eh?
Yeah. Well, everybody, they go and buy every domain. Very smart move. Just go buy up every domain, and then when somebody wants that, they got to come to you, especially if it's a highly sought after domain. And AI, as you can see, the AI domains are getting bought up everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, anytime there's something new, right? We're gonna like the .ios, the .ais, they're all getting snapped up. Correct. Big time.
Yeah.
So, question for you before we launch into the actual topic of how the game has been changed really quickly, in fact, in 2024. Before we dive into that, just curious about your background. You were doing executive search. You decided to go off on your own a few years ago now, and have made a strong go of it, which is kudos to you, because it's been a really up and down crazy time, obviously, famously. But what was it like for you when you were working in an agency, and then what prompted you to want to go out on your own initially? Like, what was that journey like?
I always knew I wanted to do something on my own. Just my previous partner was just, let's say, showing up late and expecting everybody to do all this, but just a terrible leader. And a lot of our recruiters were asking for a raise, and he didn't want to give it, but he showed up in a green Lamborghini. So that was the day that I called it quits. I said, I'm done. I'm going to go on my own during COVID, scared because I was making great money running it, right? So what I said is, hey, burn all the ships. This is the game plan. Let's go. Started out of my basement. Within a month, we were looking at office space, and now 3 years later, we already moved to another office. So it's been great.
And do you guys do a hybrid model, or how have you worked that? How do you feel about the whole?
We have so there's a few of us that come in because we're local here, but we have a couple of recruiters in Texas and other states. So they're obviously remote. We just do a team call every morning at 8:30, 15 to 30 minutes. Just attack, here's the new roles, who's taking what, and then go. Nothing long. That's part of the reason why too is I hate the 3-hour meetings. Those are pointless for me. 15 minutes, 30 minutes max, and get your day started.
Here's a question for you too, and this I think comes up a lot, like you're saying, because a lot of meetings have gone virtual. My last agency was in office 5 days a week before I started working with Raymond George. That was years ago, right? We're talking 11 years ago. And over there, we're 5 days a week. So we had a morning huddle, we had a noon huckster of new jobs, blah, blah, blah. But it was all face-to-face meetings in front of, with the virtual meetings. What do you think goes, like, in your opinion, is worth doing in a virtual meeting with the whole team versus one-on-one video? Like, how do you structure that yourself?
So we just have we follow the EOS traction book. So EOS system, entrepreneurial operating system. That is, every meeting you go into, you have an objective, and then you come out with, the call to action. Say, this is what we're going to be doing. This is what you're doing, and let's get it done. Then we have another weekly meeting, and then put top priorities on the list, and then keep going from there. It's a book I highly recommend for anybody that's trying to grow or scale their team. It's a great book.
Yeah. There was another book that was recommended. I think it was last episode called, or a video call maybe I did recently, called "The Hard Thing About Hard Things." I think. You know this one?
I don't. I might have, but I've been using the Headway app, and I love it.
Yeah. I haven't tried it yet. It recommends you things. Yeah.
Yeah. So you kind of put it goes through an assessment on you, and then where you want to go to or what do you want to learn about specifically, and then it'll put those books in front of you. You can listen or read them. I love it. It's 20 minutes of my day in the morning to start off, and it's just been great so far. It's probably something that I would recommend for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, navigating through all of the stuff that exists out there, all the podcasts, all the books, whatever. That's a full-time job on itself. So it's true that using some of these services is big time saver.
Right.
Because
And
how the
I
hell do
and
you
I
find?
also listen to a ton of podcasts too. So
Well, this is the thing: is how the hell are you supposed to have time in today's job market to do it all? You got to do your own marketing, you got to do your own personal branding, you have to do your actual regular job of sales or recruiting or both if you're 360 or whatever else. But it's the onus is on you also to listen to a bunch of podcasts, to read a bunch of books, to do a bunch of personal development courses, to work out at the
yeah.
gym, whatever. Like how you know what I mean? It's good.
Well,
It's getting a little crazy.
it's super easy if you're somebody that wants it and you're constantly seeking it. Like to me, that's not hard and an extra because I love it. I want to learn more about it. It's something I'm curious. You're just naturally curious about, and I go down so many rabbit holes, and I'm like, I never heard about that. Let me look into this. Especially with AI, I'll start
Yeah.
going down a 30, 45 minute, hour rabbit hole, and my goal was like, hey, first half hour of the day, I'm gonna look at it, and I do that every morning. It's like what new tools are coming out that I could potentially use, and how can it benefit me and optimize my workflow. So I'm always looking at those.
Yeah, I
Did
think
we
that
lose
that's
you?
necessary, right? I think no, it's I just wanted to get my cat out of here. She's lovely when she's sleeping. She's scratching on the windows like nails on a chalkboard. So yay, congrats! What a gift to
There
all
you
of our
go.
listeners. It's cat claws on glass. No, I hear you, man. I think that's the thing. Is I think yes, that's what it takes in today's market in order to do this. I think people who just want to show up, clock in, clock out, 9 to 5, and do some Boolean searches on LinkedIn Recruiter and send out emails, book
Yeah.
interviews, and then make placements. That is just, it's not enough. Like we have to do more now. I mean, and it's just the reality. This is not, no shade on anybody. The reality is it's a lot harder and it requires a lot more hustle
Yeah.
than it did a few years ago.
Right. You have to do whatever it takes to win. Number one, period. And if you don't know what that means or how to do that, find a mentor. Find somebody that you want to be like, or a company that you want to, you may have to pay for a course if that's somebody you want, but I would vet that out, make sure that that's the person you want to be like. And if they have proven success and a great track record, okay, let me see if I can pay for their knowledge. And that is one thing I'm noticing about a lot of kids coming out of high school. They're going to start doing that. Instead of going to college and getting in debt, they're going to start saying, hey, Rick, let me pay you for your knowledge, and then I'll just start my own business from there.
Yeah, like
I
more of
will
an
say,
apprenticeship model kind of thing.
yeah, pretty much. It's just like, hey, why go get in debt unless you're going to be obviously any of those, right? But
Sure.
All the information's out there. You just got to want it. You got to seek it, and just talk to good people that are willing to give you that knowledge.
Yeah, for sure. But and I want to get to that too later on. But let's start diving into the questions then too. I was based on our conversation that we had the other day and all the stuff we got up to. I tried to rein it in a little. I think this is still a pretty long list of questions, but what would you say are the biggest challenges or some of the biggest challenges that you're seeing in recruitment, staffing and recruitment this year that have popped up, or how are you feeling about that right now?
I mean, you're seeing a lot of business development recruiters struggling in that space. Running a full desk. Maybe they left the firm and they started their own firm, and they had 3 or 4 clients that followed them. Well, those clients dried up. Now what? Right? They never had a set structure to know how to do it because maybe the firm they were at or wherever they came from, maybe that wasn't the model, right? I've noticed a lot of that because of all the people I speak to, and I host a recruiting roundtable every Thursday. That's a major struggle. And that's, to do sales is a full-time grind. That's what I recruit all day, every day. And the top salespeople are, it's consultative selling. It's knowing your market, becoming a domain authority figure, knowing your niche inside and out. So, all the pain points. So when you're on a call, you're not guessing whether, hey, Rick's pain points are this, and that. And here's how I can solve this, and that. It's that easy. But you got to want to do it. You got to set a cadence. I mean, what the average touch point is 8 to 15 just to even get the first initial conversation going. So
yeah,
it takes what
that's
it takes.
An interesting point. Sorry to interrupt you, Dominic. That's an interesting point to bring up that I'm curious. you're saying 8 to 15 touch points. Is that for you personally in your business, or is that something you're seeing in like reports, or because it does
Yeah.
feel like a lot more touch points now to get a meeting?
Well, it's probably even more than that. But a lot of my leads are warm intros, people I know. I do a lot of networking, go to a lot of events. I'm on the board of the Council of Supply Chain Management. So it's that for me is the best way if you can do that is network. Also call all your old placements. I think my buddy Greg said that on one of your lives here. A lot of recruiters forget to do that. And they don't do it enough. Is call them, ask for, what's going on in the company. Is there anywhere I can help? Who can I reach out to? And then just check their references. I think Greg told you that too. He told me that many times. A lot of people forget that.
Yeah, for sure. The references are, from a sales perspective, potentially gold, because here you are talking to hiring managers.
Exactly.
And it's a pretense where they will answer.
Yeah, if you already helped place somebody, of course they're going to take your call unless you put them in a bad spot, which that's a problem in itself. But we don't always know, right? We get on those initial calls, everything sounds great, vet out the company as much as you can, and then next thing you know, you find out that this manager left, this one's in there, and then nobody likes this guy or whatever it may be. But we hear it all. But I don't suggest, if you're a candidate or you're looking, don't ever place blame on everyone. Always look inward.
That's a classic case too. That's a classic problem. And speaking of Greg Benedivo, right, who's my old boss as well, who gives amazing trainings and advice on all this stuff. I think he would call that the attitude problem, right? Is the core attitude problem is everything that's happened to me is everybody else's fault. I have no blame in it whatsoever, and I feel for people who are stuck in that. I've been stuck in it sometimes in my life. Luckily, I've been through enough stuff to get out of it and start to realize, hey, what part did I play in this? How can I improve myself? What's in control for me to be able to work on and improve myself? But that's a difficulty with clients or candidates that's on a personal level, which if you can spot it, it might be a good marker or red flag to just duck out of it altogether. Because without getting into, psychoanalyzing people or whatever else, it's not our job to bring people to that realization. But it's hard to work with somebody who just thinks that all bad things are everyone else's fault and that they have no part in it whatsoever.
Well, it goes back to what we recruit for. Candidates that are naturally curious, coachable, and intelligent. If you come in and you have an ego, maybe you place, you were a 500K biller, a 1,000,000K biller, leave that at the door. You can always learn something. Like, believe me, I was just on a call with a VC, and what he told me, he started off in the recruiting space, and the guy's cashed out. He's retired at 32, multi-billionaire. I mean, how do you get to that, right? Like, I just got to get on those calls, learn, listen, and take any advice that I can use. Maybe I'm not going to use it all, right? But what can I take from every call? I'm always trying to learn from everybody I talk to.
100%. And later on, give me that guy's number because I want to call him too and find out.
Get him on the phone. It took me a year to get in there. A year to get in that one.
But that's the thing too, is that I think that having the resilience necessary and the foresight required to know what things are worth working toward for a long, long period of time, what things are not worth doing that, but then sticking to, the quick wins, yes, but sticking with the stuff that's behind the scenes, it's hard to balance, but I feel like that's kind of the secret sauce in a way, right? It's doing the short and the long term.
Right. You get like the stuff that nobody's, seeing or watching that you do in the morning to prepare. By the time people get out of bed, I'm already 3-4 hours into my day. I did my workouts, my readings, my journal. You have to really want it. For me, coming from sports, it's easy to relate everything to hockey. But we had workouts at Ohio State at 5 a.m. Talk about PTSD. Like, I don't even want to go to the gym, right? But you have, I don't have to go there and lift heavy weights. I'm not trying to be a bodybuilder. I'm just trying to go get into a routine, get moving in the morning, right? Just get everything flowing. Those are the top performers. You ask any of them, it's typically always the case, right? They got a routine and they stick to it, and they're very structured.
Well, especially for people who are trying to break in now. For people who've been in the game for 20, 30 years, they may have all the contacts already. You may not need to do that. You're looking toward being a consultant and using your time in different ways. But if you're looking to break in now, I agree with you. It's like you need to want it enough to do it all and really kill every day. And like you're saying, I mean, same with me. I took into the habit, and Greg is a big proponent of this too, right? Be up at 5, do whatever, your workouts, your meditation, your morning routine fully before you get a jump on the day, and then be the early bird who's already checking your messages, sending out messages before your day starts.
Yep. And have your day planned out, ready to go. So if you have to make, let's say, 50 calls that day and send out 30 emails, have it all organized, ready to go. So you just go down that list, check. Or if you have an ATS, it's doing it for you, right? But make sure you have a structured plan every day and then just get it done. And then that's a win for that day. Try to stack up more W's throughout the week than losses. If you can get all 5 W's in a week, some 7, good 7, for you. Yeah, you're on the right track, right?
Yeah. But so we were, and again, to go back to the question too about challenges that we're seeing in 2024, I mean, pivoting, knowing where to pivot, I would say has been a big challenge that not only I hear, but other people as well, just because there's been so many changes in the market that are out of our control. And 2 things there. I don't know how you feel about this, but one is keeping a cool head, not celebrating your wins too hard or your losses getting you down, because sometimes you do everything right. And then it's like, oh yeah, this whole industry is just on a complete hiring freeze now for the next 6 months. What are you going to do?
And that's, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it. Being able to pivot.
No,
how do you?
So that's going back to hockey, right? My coach used to tell us all the time, never get too high, never get too low, stay even keel. It's true. There's a week where we lost $250K in placements in 1 week in February. Now, most people would have been miserable, so pissed. Yeah, was I mad? Absolutely. But what are you going to do? Be miserable for a week? You got to flip that channel, go for a walk, and I always tell them, switch the channel. Switch the channel and go that way. Because, I mean, what good does it do if you're in your head and you're miserable for a week? You didn't have that money in your bank account yet anyways. That doesn't count.
It didn't exist. That's the thing.
Right.
Is that realizing it didn't exist until it's in your bank account, it doesn't exist.
Right. That's where a lot of recruiters too. They count their money before it gets to them. So don't do that if you're somebody that's doing that right now.
I've been guilty of that too. I mean, I think we all tempted to do that, but that's the thing, is you got to get over it fast when it doesn't materialize.
And I've done it many times, right? But it took me a few times to realize, all right, I can't be miserable for a week. I have to turn it around right now and go that way. So just always having a positive mindset. And yeah, there's times like that was tough. I'm not gonna lie. For anybody, right? Anybody that loses $250K in a week, you're not happy.
And what happened there? Was it one big client that had a bunch of starts that you had, or how?
A few different ones, high end roles. These people were passive candidates, and multiple companies were after them. And they were just getting crazy offers. So the one guy, he's like, Dom, I have to take this offer. He goes, I love working with you. And this, I go, I don't blame you. I would take that too, and that's truly having the candidate's best interest. And guess what? Me and him, we still talk. We're great friends, so always look out for them too. If it makes sense and they're like, Dom, what do you think? I'll say, you have to go with that. Yeah, obviously I love my client, right? And I'm going to push for my client every time. But if you got to that point now where you're saying both of them are equal, but you're getting more money over here, you got to do what's best for you.
I agree with you, and I think that's becoming more and more clear in the age of the internet and social media and AI and whatever else. Everybody can find candidates really quickly, but it's building long-term trust with a really good candidate is in the long run going to pay off way more than just trying to go for quick wins and then having this guy say, this guy was being super pushy. He was trying to push me to a job that made no sense. That he or she is going to tell all of her friends, blah, blah, blah. Now suddenly people aren't getting back to you. It spreads fast when you do shady things now, period.
That is where a lot of recruiters fell and end up out of the industry really quick. They don't care. And here's the thing, and sometimes it's not even their fault. Sometimes it's the companies they're at saying, hey, we need to see this many calls, this many placements, right? And they don't really want to do that, but and that's where you just got to say, hey, look, I got to leave here. This goes against my ethics, my morals. Maybe find another company that aligns with how you operate. And you have to play a long-term game. If you're short-sighted and playing the short-term game, good luck lasting in this industry. Ask anybody
For
that's
sure.
been in it 20 plus years.
Yeah, especially nowadays, right? It's getting
Right.
the volume on that is getting amped up. The margin for error is much smaller
Right.
than ever.
Yeah.
So what do you think some of the things, and I know we both had such a long list in our last call we couldn't even finish it, but what do you think are some of the key things that either recruiters or salespeople should be doing to differentiate themselves out there building into 2025?
Well, you're building your personal brand, right? So they know when they reach out to you, kind of like what you're doing with the show, right? It's amazing because now people feel like they know you, right? They've heard you many times. That you're constantly at the top of mind. They get along with you, whether it's golf, sports, whatever it may be. You know, they can relate to you. So when they get on the call with you, it's just like they've known you forever, right? There's so many times where I've met people. I mean, I've watched them on YouTube or TikTok or whatever, LinkedIn, and I get on a call with them. I'm like, wow, I felt like I've known you for years. So it's building that personal brand.
Yeah. And you mentioned too about, whether it's sports or whatever else, like establishing rapport by being a real human being. I
Right.
think I agree with you on that front. I think that that's got more value now than just being like, hey, I have this job for you. Do you want this job? Yes or no? I feel like
Right.
that's dying away because everybody's reaching out to them with some sort of similar job.
I've seen some of the candidates. They showed me their LinkedIn messages and 7, 8, 9 messages, and they're all paragraphs. I keep it short, sweet, to the point. If you're interested, let me know. Then we'll chat. But I'll put the name of the company. I'll put the salary, and everything. And it's just once we get on the phone, we'll dig deeper into details, see if you're a good fit. If not, well, we'll find another role for you.
Yeah, for sure. I got to be honest with you. I even shy away from salary personally because there are a lot of positions that I've taken in this weird market which are opportunistic, which could change depending on the right person, right? So it's like if I don't even know where someone's at, but what they're bringing to the table is worth paying more. I don't want to turn off the person if we could have got them the salary they wanted. It's getting more complex. I find out there to
For me, for C-suites, I don't do that, right? Because everybody's different, the whole package. But when I know exactly, let's say if we're talking about the SaaS WMS space, and I know candidates at this company are at 100, or 150, I'll know exactly what to go at them with and say, hey, here you go. Let's go. This team's rocking. Come aboard. But that's because I know the niche. I've talked to every single company out there, every competitor, candidates at each company to know that, right? Like you have to know that. Otherwise, it's like, you're going to send a message. Hopefully they reply, but most of them don't. And I always tell them, you never know how to always reply just to see, because if you build a great relationship with that recruiter, who knows what they have down the pipeline,
For sure. And then so in terms of the outreaches, I know that you and I were both talking about the various different sequencing outreach tools. There's a zillion of them now, doing like sequenced emails, particularly. Not that it's a bad idea in theory, but where are you at on sequencing? Are you still getting good results? Do you find everyone's annoyed by them now? How does that strike you?
Well, email everybody's annoyed with, and same with LinkedIn. You have to go into the messaging, basically, providing value and knowing their pain points. If you're just spraying messages all over it, hoping, you might get one here and there, but is that going to be a client that you want to work with? I don't know. You tell me. But we have our data. We track it. We have different campaigns. If we're reaching out to C-suites, we have E1, E2, E3, E4, right? We're tracking, okay, what are they replying to? What's the, intro message that we should send? And then we're talking to VPs. We're trying, M1, we call it M1, M2, M3, M4, and just tracking that data and saying, all right, here's where we're getting the best results. Let's put more effort into this. You have to. You have to know your numbers inside and out. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time. Right?
Yep.
You're going out there just hoping and praying, and everything's data driven for us.
Do you think that there's room in the sequencing messaging to bring in some of that personal branding and personality, or do you feel like that's just going to annoy people as well?
Yeah, try what. Yeah, every industry is different, right? Try whatever. Try everything, and see what works for you. I always tell everyone, just try everything and see what works for you. But get on the phone and start networking with other recruiters.
That's the
other thing. Yeah, like I talk to so many recruiters daily. I go on 2 roundtables every week, plus other networking calls. Not only to find out what they're doing, but we built great relationships, right? And a lot of us are going through the same things. And how can we help? Or what did you do in this situation? It's just all about supporting each other, helping each other. There's enough money in the space for all of us to eat, but who's going to get that money that's the battle we're going for.
Yeah. Well, you say there's enough money in the space for all of us to eat. I think a lot of people are worried. And this ties into our whole topic too, about the future of recruitment, not just agency recruitment, but the various spaces, right? Your in-house TA people, your regular agency that are doing either, contract or perm, and then you got your big giant juggernauts who do a lot of temp, like your Adecos and your Randstads or whatever. Each of them seems to kind of be worried about what's going to happen and is it sustainable. Half the people say things like if you want it and you're never going, you're always going to have enough to eat. And other people are the opposite mentality. They're like, it's over, that's it, AI is going to replace us all, forget it.
Well, yeah, that's your first problem, the mindset, right? But yeah, I see, if you know where it's going, how can you utilize it and add more skills to your tool belt to provide value for somebody at the top? It may not end up being recruiting, right? You may end up, managing all these AI systems about these talent, and maybe you still need the human touch on, maybe 3 recruiters on the team instead of 20, right? And it's the people that know how to utilize AI and optimize their workflow are going to be the ones that are successful in the long-term future here. Then also you got to look at it. If you're in a job where you think, hey, AI might replace my job, then you better start looking at, what skills can you add to get into a different space or pick those up. Because I see that, and I know there's a lot that are going to lose their jobs. There's a study, I'll have to find it, but I think it was by 2035, up to or 40% of people will be replaced or replaceable by AI. So, I think a lot of the stuff that I've seen that's not even out yet, that is scary for us.
That is scary.
Yeah.
I think it just, I don't know, how do you feel about the whole AI replacing jobs thing? Like, do you feel like we're just going to create other jobs and AI will take those jobs, but there'll be new ones? Do you think that there'll be a big downshift? How messy do you anticipate it getting, being in the logistics world as you are? Like, do you see a lot of opportunity, or do you see that it's bleak?
I think the people that learn skills how to utilize the AI with whatever they're doing, they're going to have jobs. Obviously, new jobs are going to be created, but yes, there are going to be jobs that are wiped out. So I think maybe that's what the governments are working on right now, and how to figure that out. What are we going to do if we actually released all of what we have right now? Because a lot of the stuff we haven't even seen. Like there was, a call I did, and I was just, wow, this is scary. And some
was that the one
like,
you were telling me where it's like a whole virtual recruiter period?
Yeah, well, that one's already out there. This one is collecting data points, 172 data points on you, scraping your socials, just the way that you're sitting in a conversation and a call. And then, people were tailoring their resumes to fit job descriptions. Well, this is going to basically take that out of play.
Yeah. So like this is,
we'll see.
But you're in a video call with an AI recruiter, kind of animated.
Yeah. So let's say a year ago, right? Somebody, or just recently, you post a job and you get 1,000 candidates, right? Because everyone's still looking.
Yeah.
Well, all 1,000 of those candidates will now get an interview with a AI bot that looks like a human, just like me right now. But that whole time, that thing is collecting data points on you, scraping your resume, asking you certain questions, and then that will determine if you move forward. Now, is that going to get implemented immediately across all companies? I don't know. That's what I don't know, and that's where it could get scary for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, do you see that? Because I could see that being like a first screen for applicants in an internal TA type of scenario, right? Like where you're posting ads, you're getting a lot of applicants, and you want to weed through, but also collect all that data.
Yeah. So you're starting to need the human touch, and I think that's just going to get rid of, let's say, the entry level recruiters, or maybe, it's going to, instead of having, like I said, 20 recruiters, you now have 5, 10.
Yeah,
that's probably what I see happening, but we'll see how fast that takes off.
But see, this is, and I mean, I didn't see any tool that like that's a lot of data points and a lot of capacity. I haven't seen anything that advanced yet, but I believe you because even a year or two ago,
Yeah.
like there was things to screen, basically pre-screen candidates. But this is what I mean when I say I find it concerning that a lot
Yeah.
of people still use language like what I need in my career is more stability. So I want to stay in house or I want to go in house from agency. And I'm like, I don't know that going in house or staying in house is stable for the next few years. I think a lot of, depending the company, a lot of people will thin down just the sheer number of everyone's like, they're going to be growing their teams and eliminating agencies. And I'm like, I don't think so. Not anymore. Not the way that AI is
Yeah.
evolving.
I mean, I'll get that. You really just look at what Elon did to X, Twitter,
Sure.
right? Look at what Zuckerberg. Look at what all the tech titans are doing. They realize, hey, with all the new tools that we have coming out, we can get rid of like IBM. I think they were announcing a 2,000 layoff, right? I think you said that the other day.
I
Somebody was
did.
telling you, but
And it
yeah.
was
So
2,000 layoff. It was like just under 2,000 people that were laid off since 2023, but another 8,000 jobs in the next 24 months or whatever are supposedly going redundant, like are going to be eliminated. 8,000 jobs in the next couple of years. So 4 times what we saw them lay off so far
right,
because of the market correction.
they see what's coming. They know.
Yeah.
They know who they're going to need, and who So that's where I try to get my. I always watch the bigger companies. What are they doing, and why are they doing it?
Yeah.
And you can collect a lot of information right there just to help guide you on which way you should go. But I think this slim and lean model is going to be the way to go. A lot of people will end up in that route.
Slim, lean, and like you said earlier, specialized, right? Really
Optimize.
knowing your market, knowing what the competitors are doing. That
Right.
specialized knowledge is always going to be valuable.
Absolutely. Yep.
So, in terms of, you said something else too earlier about candidates. I'm trying to remember what it was. It was sort of like an acronym or whatever. That we want candidates who are, was it coachable, intelligent,
Naturally, yeah, coachable, intelligent, and naturally curious.
curious? Yeah, I mean, see, I think you said it like it was just a given, but I want to go back to that
Yeah.
because I think that type of candidate profile, I don't know, are you seeing those sorts of personality traits becoming more desirable by hiring managers yet, and not so much just going off a resume? Or how do you feel about that?
Yeah, all the roles that we pretty much work on, they're looking at your resume for track record and performance, but in sales, just like hockey and other sport, who cares if you want to last 9 games? Well, you're either going to win or lose this game, right? And it starts today, starts this morning. You got competitors coming up behind you trying to take you out. It's a very competitive game, and that's why I always bring it back to hockey and sports. It's no different. It's like, what have you done for me? My coach used to tell me this all the time. What have you done for me lately? Did you work out today? Did you do this? Did you do everything you could to prepare to be the best a version of you for today? If not, then you got nobody else to blame but yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that attitude, like of looking for candidates who are again curious, coachable, intelligent, moldable, people who are going to have the potential to not just do the job today, but grow, and also not have a big ego about it, right? So that they can truly grow and be a team player. I
Right.
feel like those things are important, but I feel like most of what I do is sales, right? And I talk to salespeople, and even those salespeople are seeing the same thing. A lot of hiring managers, I feel, are still reticent to interview somebody if they're not cheap on the on the scale
Yeah.
of what it is that the salary expectation. Like they need the salary expectation. It needs to be cheap. They need to, or they need to be willing to take a pay cut to make a leave based on future potential and walk away from what they have right now. They need to be currently employed by an attractive blah, blah, blah. And if it isn't any of those things, it doesn't matter what their human personality traits are. It's hard to get an interview in a tough market at all. But I feel like with AI, people are going to start looking more at the person. And maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know. I don't know if you agree with that.
My companies the clients I work with already do that. They're looking at your track record. What tools can you bring to the table? What AI have you learned to utilize? Some companies are a lot bigger and they don't allow you to use ChatGPT, and if they're publicly traded because they don't want their data out there, and I get it. But there's a lot of other tools that you can use besides ChatGPT and Perplexity and
Sure.
Claude, and all of them, right? There's a lot of tools out there. For me, I would tell people go to like Superhuman AI. That's a great spot. Look up Andrew Name, Fifi Lin. I mean, those are the two, number one and two, I think, researchers out there. Just look at what they're doing and I study these people and watch what they're doing. Where are they going with the AI? And then how can I potentially use that? Where could I use that? How could I make money? And who knows if it's even recruiting 5, 10 years? We'll see. I get on all these calls with these people and I'm like, wow, I never heard about that industry. I would love to look at that.
That's the thing, is that there's so much changing. And part of the first things that you brought up with me, Dominic, when we were talking, that I agree with, is that I feel like the job market and the landscape of the job market is changing faster, I think, than even a lot of the recruiters I speak to realize. And I think that those who are kind of just sort of expecting that, oh, it's a market dip down just like all the others, and there's going to be an upswing just like all the others. I feel like there's differences that we're not going back from. I don't think it is back to normal, so to speak. I think that there's a lot of very big change. Sure, there's always going to be ups and downs, but I feel like not getting at the forefront of the big changes is going to just really separate the wheat from the chaff, like fast in the next couple of years.
Really
in a rough way.
Really fast. Yeah, I talk to some people and they're like, yeah, I know how to do a few prompts on ChatGPT. And I'm like, no, you need to do a lot more than that, because I could probably do the job of 5 people right now. I could be chief marketing. I mean, I could create bots right now that act as a CEO, act as a chief sales officer, act as a CMO. And then they're just talking back and forth. And you mentioned on one of our other calls, negotiating. They have bots that can negotiate now, back and forth on different tones and this and that. It's common. Just how can you utilize it? Where can you put those skills into your tool belt and just help you optimize your workflow, or maybe get into that industry that you didn't even know about, right? And you got to seek it though. But I think once you find what you love doing and you're passionate about it, for me, it's not. I feel like I'm never at work. I really do. Because I love what I do. I get to talk to people all day about what they're doing and learning about this new tech and this software, where most people, they click the button on Amazon or order online and it comes to their door. But you have no idea all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. The tech, just for that one package to get to your door. It's amazing.
For that one package that's like $7.99, and you didn't even need it. You sent it back now, and then that's all the logistics behind. Just that simple little thing. Yeah,
that's a space that I'm targeting right now. Reverse logistics, because think about it, during COVID, right?
Yeah,
you'd order 5, 10 shirts, keep 2, return 8. What do they do with all that? Well, it costs a lot of money to ship that back to a warehouse, store it again, and it's expensive. So there's a lot of people that are coming up with creative solutions to solve that problem. Again, always find a way to bring value, and that's what they do. And then it's an easy sell, right? You go to the market, and here you go. We're going to save you this amount, because they know your exact pain points. They've studied them. Maybe they've even worked at your company in the past. Talking to a lot of founders that go that route, and then they see they're just very smart and always looking for pain points and where they can solve, where they can create new tech. It's just amazing. Brilliant people that I meet.
And here's a comment that came in too. I'll name her because she's owns Raymond George. It's Julie Robinson, who was saying, in all roles, love those qualities. I assume she's talking about the curiosity, coachability, and intelligence. And like you just said, you brought it back to yourself too. I mean, because you are curious about this stuff, and because you are being intelligent, as in like being smart, reading about the stuff and whatever else, like putting that into action, in a way that also just makes it feel like you're not working every day. It gives you energy instead of burning you out. So making sure that you're in the right job, I think, to your point, is huge, where you do feel that curiosity. You're not like, I'm bored stiff about this. Who's going to have the energy to sell if you can't stand what you're selling? It's just not going to happen.
Well, I hear it all the time when these companies reach out to me, try to sell me this, and that. I was like, guy, this person hates their job. They didn't even do any research. They don't even know what they're talking about. They don't even know any of the numbers. And I'm like, what? I can't even believe they put you on the phone.
But I mean, that's the thing. A lot of people are just having them read off scripts.
Right. and you can't script. You have to just be real, authentic. That's what people want. You know, there's so many bots nowadays
Speaking
and
of
this and
film,
that. Oh, go ahead.
no, please go.
No, that was just there's so many bots. If you can just be authentic, genuine, that's what people want.
Yeah, and I agree with you 100% on that front. I think that's going to go up in value as well.
Absolutely.
But speaking of the phone, you brought up phones a couple times now. It came up in a couple other of these episodes. Someone in particular, Kumail, who was on here, suggested that I read a book called "Cold Calling Sucks," and that's why it works. Have you checked this thing out?
Oh, I've heard of it. Yeah, I jump on a few cold calling LinkedIn lives just to check them out
Yeah,
and see what they're doing. See, you hear, what's working for them, what's not. But I always go back to, like, if you know your industry and you know the pain points, it's so easy to get on those calls. You're not nervous. You're talking with CEOs of multi-billion-dollar corporations, Fortune 5, whatever, startup. You just know all the pain points, and you've talked to enough people. Your eyes and ears, boots on the ground. You know exactly what's going on and how you can help. Just always provide value. Find a way to provide the value, and the rest will
yep,
follow. The rest will come.
yeah. I was going to ask how you feel about it. I read the book cover to cover myself, and I found that it was a lot of old school techniques. I don't really feel personally like I'm ever cold calling, like you said too,
Yeah,
because it's
same
like,
here.
right? I'm not just going in blind with somebody who I don't think needs my service at all and trying to keep them on the phone long enough to determine that. Like I'm doing my
Right.
research and talking to them about something very specific that's valuable, right? So it's not really a
Exactly.
cold call even, you know?
No, I mean, you could say it is, but it's not. It's like, I'm calling you
Yeah.
for a reason, and I'll
Yeah.
tell companies that. You're either a partner or a source. You pick. You want to
You
go
either
against me?
buy
Good
or
luck.
you sell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good luck. Um,
Yeah, absolutely. We're 10 minutes out because I do like to try to keep this to an hour since people are on their lunch hour. And I wanted to ask you this because a lot of people have not really gone down this rabbit hole with me. But you had some interesting things to say on this too, which is in the next couple of years, we're as people who work in staffing and recruiting, we're definitely all gonna have to figure out or keep in touch with what is happening with Gen Z age people, because like statistically, they're not interested in the traditional job market and moving up, starting an entry level job, full time job somewhere else. But
right.
as people retire, we're going to have to fill seats. They're going to have to get jobs somewhere. So figuring out and keeping our finger on the pulse is going to be a challenge, and it's going to be important. You seem to agree, and you had some stuff to say on this. Can you maybe talk on that a little bit?
Well, yeah, I'm always talking with. I'm working with an 18-year-old kid right now, a whiz kid out of Denmark. He's in an academy, 20 brightest kids in Denmark. Average IQ is 140. And we're working on some play tables and other automations. And I go, hey, this is the end result I need. Can you help me get to this point? So he'll show me, and this guy's just whizzing through the computer. I'm like, okay, that's scary because the people that I'm working with right now, this kid could already do their job, and they got to be prepared for that because it's coming. And the ones that are coming up, they're brilliant, and they know how to navigate through these computers and tech really quick to to provide a lot of value to a lot of people. I mean, all the knowledge is right at your fingertips. You just got to get it. Surround
But
yourself with the
is
right
that
people.
it sounds like a kind of a liberated mindset of being able to just really using AI bots and whatever to train them or train each other or whatever else. Like you've brought it up a couple of times to do the tasks of human beings who are pretty senior. It's this
Yeah,
kind of liberated mindset of you don't need to be a human doing a full-time job in a box to achieve the goal,
right.
right? Like anymore
Exactly.
is what we're seeing.
Right. Like, this is just what this is doing is going out and doing the research on some companies for me, getting, what's their annual revenue, how many positions they have open, what roles are open. It's pulling all that data, so I have it at my fingertips. So when I reach out, boom, I know exactly what to say. I know what their pain points are based on other companies I've worked with in the space. Here's how I can provide them value. And most of everything we do is direct hire. Mostly sales roles. It's just knowing what to bring to the table and knowing what their pain points are. Every time it works for me, right? Like, you have to know that, though. You have to start going back to the personal brand, start getting it out there, become a domain authority figure, talk to people in that space that have been, 20 something years, and then talk to people that are new. And I talk to everyone, but I would suggest talk to anyone and everyone you can in that space.
Yeah. And just become that subject matter expert.
You have to.
So in terms of, and you don't have to give away all your secrets, but just out of curiosity, how did you come across this 18-year-old kid who's this whiz kid in Denmark? Was this because you were searching for someone to hire to do a task for you, or how did this come about?
So I'm always in these Reddit channels, Discord, Slack, just seeing where that's where I know they play, right? So I'll go on there and just watch what they're saying and look and say, all right, well, this is what I'm looking for. And then somebody will, I can do that. Okay, let's chat. Let's get on WhatsApp and or a Zoom call. And now, I've never used WhatsApp until recently this year, and now just nonstop on WhatsApp with all these people I'm working with from India, Pakistan, Germany, Switzerland, you name it. I mean, they're all willing to provide value because they don't want to go to university and then get in a corporate job. I'm seeing a lot of people getting away from that model.
Well, for sure. And I guess the big question is, what does that mean 3 years out, 5 years, 2 years out from today?
Right.
For us who are recruiters, I mean, sure, I recruit other recruiters, but the people who I work with a lot of them still deal with entry level to mid-level positions that they're placing. And the ages are moving in such a way that those entry and mid-level people are going to be Gen Z age people who will never maybe have had a full-time job and are 25 years old and are making more money than any of us. Right. And what does that mean? Yeah. It completely flips it on its head a little bit.
That means that job description is, you had 3 years experience, must have 3 years experience. Well, not after you see what this kid can do. He's doing an experience of 20, 30-year vets, So you might have to change that up. Let's do a live call. Let me see what but that's having somebody on the other side working for you that knows, okay, where could we use AI or, to optimize our workflow at this company, and who I need to bring in, the prompt engineers, whatever it may be. I mean, that's what he's going to school for right now, in a class learning prompt engineering. Even though there's AIs that already, they can give you that, right? And then you can talk to it, but just the way to use it. And he gave me one that was like, here, based on these 3 personas, create hooks, and here's my ICP, and it just spit it out like this. And then it gave you a 30-day content strategy. These are things that an 18-year-old kid can do from his bedroom in his parents' house right now.
Yeah, right now.
And that's just basic of what I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing, though, right? Is that what it highlights to me is that there's a long time now where the job market has been static in a way. And I don't want to say we've gotten lazy as a society, but we have, in a way, that it's like, okay, we have a structure and a framework of different industries. You start at the bottom, you get this much experience, you should have this much money, and then you move into this direction or that direction. And there's small changes in the framework, but it's not necessarily been driven on, you're an individual. What value can you bring to the table for us? And what does that mean for me money-wise? I'm going to pay you vis-a-vis the value that you actually are bringing to my company right now in a big picture kind of way. It sort of feels like that disrupts the whole structure of you start here and then you move here and then you move there. And that's how much money you make. You only have 3 years experience. Of course, we're not going to pay you more than 50 grand. This idea seems to be sort of being erased very quickly by the kind of stuff you're talking about, where it's like, none of those jobs will exist, but we'll need one person who can provide all this value. Does that mean you pay them $1 million a year? Like, what does that even mean? Like, what does it mean?
Well, it depends on what that person knows what their value is based on the previous data that they've worked on and they collected, and they have case studies, and they should, hey, you're going to give me $75,000 for this project that's going to take me 1 month, but your ROI is going to be $1 million. So who cares about 75 grand, right? It's just going to be all ROI driven and based on data. And that is where a lot of people are going to either learn it or fail and have to find something else to do.
Yeah. And this is where it comes back to, and this is something you and I were talking about too, is, qualifying a job. When you talk to somebody, it's what are you trying to achieve with filling this position? And not so much, how much is the salary? How many years experience you have? Those questions will become less and less relevant, I think, more than or less than asking them, what are you trying to achieve right now? Okay, here are options of how you could do it. You could hire this guy who's got 30 years experience, but he wants this salary and needs these benefits, whatever else. If you just need to achieve it the one time, hire this kid from Denmark for a month and he'll do all the front end work. Then hire an interim C-level guy. Like, I mean, there's going to be a lot of ways to achieve a goal and different ways of front loading or back loading the budget to get you there for your ROI than ever. It's going to be more complicated than ever, but perhaps more efficient than ever.
So, Rick, what you just said is exactly what I think is going to happen right there. You just nailed it.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I see happening. Spot on. Yeah, that's exactly what we will see happen. And it's just people that are at the top knowing, hey, all right, where can I delegate this off to? And maybe we don't have to bring them on full time, but I just need this quick project done. Boom. All right, send it to this person over here. Send this one over here. Delegate to elevate, and they're going to get there quick with running slim, lean, and just fully optimized.
Yeah. I feel like that, what you're suggesting, I feel it gives us an opportunity then to be the ones who just know what options exist out there as a consultant to our clients, so that when it's still chaotic right now, they're not going to know all the options. That's for us. That's why we will exist and be valuable, was to know at a quick glance, what do you need to achieve? Here's a few ways you could do it. And I have access to these people. You know what I mean? And I think in a way, the chaos gives us a different sense of value if we look at it that way, and we become experts to know the different options that companies have out there.
Yeah. I mean, you can call it chaos or a new niche, right? New market. It's like, hey, I'm coming to you with this value maybe you don't even know about, or these tools that you've never even heard of. Let me show you how I can eliminate 5 people, or this can do the job of 5 people, and now you don't have to spend 100K salaries on all these people. That's the part that I still worry about for a lot of people. Truly do, because I see it here in Michigan. A lot of automotive companies laid off all these people. It's like right before the holidays. What are these people going to do? They're calling me. I'm trying to push out jobs from other recruiters that just whatever I can do to help. But it's not good around here right now, especially in automotive.
No, I mean it's a widespread issue that's gonna be a while before it balances. I'll tell you this, Dominic. One of the other, aside from recruiting, one of the other things I work with is our clients who are in robotic process automation software, AI software, because I actually think that they're very similar sales. I don't know that everyone agrees with me, but I think that if you're talking as a consultant to a COO or a CFO about either adding headcount and paying an agency to add headcount to achieve jobs, or in a downturn market, you now are talking about how do we take away headcount? How do we automate certain things? It's at the core a similar business problem you're trying to solve. But robotic process automation with AI bots is just saying, well, what are the opportunities for automation so that you can actually thin down and make your org chart more efficient? But it comes down to the same core business problem, right? Is hiring or automating?
Right. You nailed it. Again, you're spot on. I mean,
there you go.
That is exactly what I see and what I'm hearing, right? And it's just going to be, it's always going back to like consultative selling, right? The pain points, the problems, and one of the companies I work with, they're looking at data scientists in sales. Like, you would never think that would be where they would go, but that's what they're doing. You're not selling. You're just literally telling them, here's the data. Here's how I can help you. Don't even have to sell, because it sells itself.
It sells itself.
That's a good product,
sure.
right?
100%.
That's a good product. So I don't care. Yeah, I don't care if you know how to sell or not. You don't need to. It's just consultative selling. Knowing their pain points, here's our data that will fix your problem.
Yep. And that's the interesting idea there is, every sales pitch becomes an audit of the company's what they want to do.
There you go.
Well, there you go. And we have another thank you comments. Great content and similar minds. I agree. That's our time. Dom, thanks so much for wanting to be on this. I think these are really important conversations to have that I don't see enough of out there. So I thank you for being on here.
No, thanks for having me. And I agree. And I think if we could start sharing more and more of this to more people all across the world, hopefully people can pick it up faster and they won't be struggling.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I'm worried.
Yeah, listen, it's worrying, but that's why we got to stay on top of it. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. I'm worried for a lot of people too, particularly on the delivery side. On the delivery side, it's going to be messy. If you're used to only doing one thing and delivery isn't really in demand, that it gets a little bit replaced by AI. That, again, curiosity, coachability, got to be flexible, got to be curious. You can't stick to one thing in today's market.
Yeah. Don't go home and watch Netflix, Amazon Prime. Just go and learn AI.
Yeah.
Every night.
Sure. I mean, watch Netflix sometimes.
Yeah.
Not all the time.
Everybody's different, right? Where do you want to get to, right? And how fast do you want to learn?
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to learn it as quick as possible to be ahead of the game.
No, I mean, that's smart.
Right.
That is smart. And you know what? I'll include a link to your content as well here, Dominic. If anybody would like to check out Dominic's YouTube channel, there's lots of conversations like this. I'll leave it up to you, Dom, if you want to share your link for the Thursday meeting. I will be there tomorrow, but there you go.
Where do I put it?
Just on LinkedIn in the meeting comments.
Okay.
On this event, which will now be a video.
I'll throw it in there.
Thank you very much. Thanks for being here. Thanks for everybody who joined us. And if you're watching this after the fact, feel free to hit us up both with questions or anything like that. And I guess we hope to see you all next Wednesday. Bye.
Thanks, Rick. See you, bud.
Cheers.